They all jump out of the car moving so fast.
Dude, I love that so much. With the Dorian Gray guy, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because he's an
Right,
immortal.
yeah,
maybe he's
magical,
magic.
yeah.
He'll just turn
But
to
when
dust.
the 80-year-old Quartermain does it and just lands on his
he
feet.
just plants.
They're driving like 60 miles an hour and he just jumps out like he just jumped off a swing set.
So
It's science.
Sean Connery, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Perfect.
This film not yet rated July 11th.
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast. Coming at you from the Slice on Oak Studios. I am Mayor Dave Badeaux of the city of Brainerd, and with me, as always, is my brother.
It's only good if only I get it.
Complete moron. Hey, look at this guy over here. It's my other brother from another mother. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on the podcast in a long time,
It's been a while.
Yes.
please welcome Tim Talks himself, Mr. Tim Severson.
Hello.
Tim Severson, 30 seconds to explain yourself. Go.
30 seconds to explain myself. I quit my job this year with no prospects and started my own podcast with my wife, your sister, Jenny.
Yes,
The
yes.
kids are in bed. And I'm exploring my writing career on timtalks.net. So check it out, both of them. Lots of fun stuff there.
Well, see you later.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We'll talk more to you or more with you later about all that stuff. Because I want to talk writing a little bit with you as well. But Tim Severson, the official movie reviewer for the podcast. I think we've officially had one review, and I think it was a little big league.
It was a little big.
Holds up.
It does.
But gentlemen, are you ready to get into this?
Yes.
And now we're pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
We're going to talk about one movie today, and it is The League of Extraordinary
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
Gentlemen.
Their powers are legendary. Their origins are unknown. But when our future's at stake, they'll be the world's last hope.
And the game is on.
LXG, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I sat down and watched this movie way too many times.
Likewise.
Scott, I assumed that was going to happen, so I'm very happy that you said that, 4 or 5 times?
Yeah.
Okay, I think
But I mean, I jumped all over the place, because
Yes.
I'd watch it and fall asleep and then come back. And so all told, probably about 5 times,
Yes.
but in snippets. And
Yes. Tim came in today and said he has 3 pages of notes from this movie. I do think I want to say right off the bat, I was pleasantly surprised at this movie because when we selected it, I thought, absolute train wreck. No way this isn't a train wreck. And the first time through it, I was almost a little disappointed in that I was like, oh, it's not as outlandish. Like the things that I wanted to make fun of were not as present the first time.
Sure.
However, I continued watching this movie. Viewing 2 and 3 are a great experience because by the end of the 3rd viewing of this movie, I was like, this movie is absolute fucking bonkers. So I think we're going to have a really good time with this. Scott, you were the one that said we should do it. How did you even come up with this as the reason to do it?
I don't know. I just looked at a list of movies from 2001, and it was the one that I remember hearing was terrible.
Yes.
But always thinking that there's got to be some redeeming qualities to it.
Yeah. Tim, you said that you had never seen it before.
I've only seen it one time, and that was yesterday.
Okay.
It was a fever dream.
I appreciate that. I have vague memories of this movie being the thing that ended Sean Connery's career.
Yes.
Made him walk away from films. So in my mind, it's always been this legendary thing of like, it's got to be just this cluster F of nonsense. I believe I had saw it in the past, but after viewing it again, did not remember anything from this movie.
You dumb bastard.
But should we get started? Should we talk about it? What is your basic take from it? Just flat out, having now viewed it, Tim. Basic, pie in the sky take of this movie.
It is ridiculous on almost every front, but somehow I kind of want to watch it again. It's entertaining.
Yes.
It's got some issues.
All right, so let's, Scott, probably similar take on the film.
It's almost a good movie.
Yeah.
It's so close. It's so close to being a good movie.
Yeah.
But it is not.
So we put this on as one of our polls. We put it on yesterday, so it's still going. But pretty decent amount of people enjoy this film. And I thought it would kind of be that way because it's not awful. But I am surprised by that. And so I don't want to come at this film and just say like, oh, it's terrible. However, there are things in this movie that are ludicrous, absolute bonkers.
If I saw this movie when I was an 8-year-old boy, it would probably be my favorite movie.
Okay, there you go. I'll be on board with that as well.
I don't know any better.
Yeah. So let's get into it. For those of you who have never seen LXG, which we need to talk about in a second, this is a film in which you basically have the Avengers / X-Men only if they were all
Worse.
Yeah, very much so.
If it was all Van Helsing. It was the Van Helsing's Avengers.
So it is public domain Victorian England characters. Now, it is based on a graphic novel that was released around the same time. One of the things I thought was very interesting was that the graphic novel was not done when they signed on to do the actual film. So I'm forgetting what the gentleman's name is right now.
Alan Moore?
Alan Moore, yep. So it was Alan Moore who wrote the graphic novel.
Who also wrote V for Vendetta and The Watchmen.
The Watchmen.
Countless other things, From Hell.
Yep, and the one that got this made was From Hell. So he had written From Hell. He had worked with the producer that did From Hell. And that guy's like, what else you got? And he told him the concept of what he was working on. And that guy's like, that's sweet. We should do that. So there's a bit of a disconnect between the film and the graphic novel right from the bat, or right off the bat, because it wasn't done yet. But the basic concept is you've got these characters from Victorian England that are all public domain, which makes them very interesting. And then they're teaming up to go do something.
Stop World War I.
Yes, 20 years before World War I would have happened. Yeah, what's your take on that right off the get-go?
Sounds fun.
It has it does have potential. I see why they greenlit it, right?
Yes.
I mean, it sounds great.
Yes. And then the movie starts. And the text is scrolling. Really cool with the Fox logo where they turned that into a steampunk.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. But then right away, the text is scrolling. It's a little jittery. It's not quite going quite right. And then tank.
I actually probably had to rewatch the text scrolling part like 5 times.
Yeah, it was
because right out the gate I was bored.
Yeah. It goes from the Fox logo, I was like, oh, that's cool, to like it starts scrolling, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah. Like, hold on, what the hell did that just say? I read it, but I didn't comprehend a fucking word of it.
Yeah. It got me back though, because then a tank comes out. Well, they do the bodies. They do
I had a whole thing about how is there a less intimidating law enforcement than a Bobby with that stupid hat and their nightsticks and their whistles? You stop or I'll blow my whistle.
And it's like remember the old suckers that were those whistles? That's all I can think of whenever I hear it. It's like a little dog fucking whistle that they blow. And they're all running, right? They're running to wherever they're going to go. The dogs start running the other way.
Right.
And then a tank
Yes.
shows up. Now, this is prior to tanks.
Yeah.
So this is hot technology.
Yes.
We've never seen this. But then, of course, they immediately do the thing from Austin Powers where the guy gets in front of the steamroller.
Halt! Get out of the way, dude. What are you doing?
Halt! So right from 30 seconds in, I told Tim, my notes are...
You're gonna have a bad time.
That's literally word 1 in what I write.
Watch out!
Yeah, but so the tank breaks through the wall of like a, what even is it? Is it a bank?
I think
There's a vault.
Yeah, it's the Bank
Yeah.
of London.
Okay.
I think
It
is
does
what
say
it's supposed
that,
to.
yes.
Yeah, Bank
Okay.
of London.
And the little side window opens up
Yes.
from the tank, and a guy's face is in there. And one of the cops says, "There's men in there." Did you think there weren't?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, this is
duh.
the idea that this thing is just some metal beast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that guy went
take.
straight to Transformers somehow. He's like, oh!
Yeah, it's a robot. What's a robot? I don't know.
It's magic.
Yeah, just introduction to destruction right off the gate.
So I think this is a good time to say spoiler alerts. If you're we are going to break this movie down from start to finish. And I'm going to tell you right now that we're basically going to spoil the whole thing. So if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it real quick. It's a quick, fun watch. And then when you come back, you can enjoy making fun of it as well. But even if you don't, I think you're still going to enjoy this movie if we spoil the whole thing for you anyways.
Yeah.
Because there's the plot.
It might be better spoiled.
It might be.
Probably.
It
Yeah.
might be. So let's talk quick about the difference between the graphic novel and the film. In the graphic novel, the female character, and I'm forgetting what her name is.
Mina?
Mina, yep. Who is from the Dracula stories. She is the lead character in this grouping. She's the one that goes and forms the team.
Okay.
This is America. We're making films. That ain't gonna fly.
No.
So first thing we got to do is spend a quarter of our budget on Sean Connery. And now Sean Connery, goddammit, he's going to be the main character. The problem with that is that of all these characters, Alan Quartermain is the one character I had no fucking idea who that even was.
Right. Never heard of this person before in my life.
Not once. Which is the problem with this premise. Because we're all fairly well educated. We went through the classes that made us read all these old stories. So I know, Nemo, right? Captain Nemo. I know Van Helsing and the Dracula stories.
Everybody knows Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah. Good inclusion of an Invisible Man, because it turns out the Invisible Man was not public domain. So this is just an Invisible Man. But Quartermain is the one that these are famous stories, but from an American audience, no idea.
Right.
Nope.
No idea.
And what's his supernatural abilities?
Well,
he can shoot good.
That's the fun part of that, and we'll definitely get to that.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
900 yards away.
Slowly.
Yeah, take your time.
So let's go through the crew so we can lay out all the powers. You've got Nina, who starts off and she's Mina, excuse me. She starts off and she's just kind of broody, a female. You could tell she was a vampire from the very word go.
An immediate pain in Quartermain's ass. Quartermain's ass. He's just like,
Her existence.
Tell me she's the nurse with a doctor's sick note.
She's got a doctor's sick note for her husband. That's how we refer
Because
to
this
her.
fucking woman couldn't possibly be part of the team.
Please tell me this is Harker's wife with a sick note.
So it turns out later on you find out she's a vampire. That's great. Quartermain shoots good. Shoots real good. Also real old.
yes.
So you got that going for him. An Invisible Man. This is where we deviate a little bit from the source material. In the source material, the Invisible Man that they have is a guy that is referenced in this. They say this guy was a scientist. That's the Invisible Man from the graphic novel.
Okay.
In this version, it's a different guy.
Yeah, it was like a Harvey character or something like that.
Yeah. So this guy is a thief who stole the formula, became invisible as well. The reason why they did that is because in the graphic novel, the guy is a rapist. And
of course.
They catch him in a girls' school just running amok. Throw white paint on him, by the way. I would have thought he would have thrown the white paint on himself.
Well, did he come or what?
So right from the beginning, we've already deviated a little bit from the source material. Get away from that just a little bit. They throw in the character of, what's his name? Gray. I'm forgetting what his
Dorian Gray, which I had to look it up because I thought, isn't that the guy's name from 50 Shades of Grey? Turns out it's not. That's Christian Grey.
Yeah, he's definitely playing a role there. A slightly interesting character. Nowhere. He is actually, I think, in the graphic novels, but not a part of the team. Maybe just referenced or in one of the images or something along those lines. However, that's an addition. But now my favorite addition is Tom Sawyer.
Yes. Played by the lead singer of Sum 41.
No, it's not. But yes, it is. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Look it up. Look it up, dude. He looks fucking exactly like that guy. Exactly like that guy. I could not handle that. The first moment he shows up in the movie, because he's got a little mask on, like a bandit mask, and he pulls the mask down, and I go, that's Derek Wimbley.
You idiot. That's too much. It's too much. No, it is not the lead singer.
I'm telling you.
Okay, maybe you might be correct. But that, I thought, was one of my favorite parts of filmmaking, right? You've got this concept. You bring it to a studio. The studio says, we like that. However, a couple notes here. One, women.
Right.
Two, we need a bigger star. So let's pick a big star. Oh, let's find a star they can actually play. So now we've got the shoot 'em good.
Right.
The shoot 'em good guy is the lead. And then, but these are all British characters. I think American audiences need an American character.
Yeah. And somebody to get the kids.
Yeah.
So if we're going to pick an American character, God damn it better be Tom Sawyer.
Special Agent Tom Sawyer of the FBI.
So if you're
Secret Service, whatever it is.
If you're the guy that's created this concept and you've spent all this time making this story, and then you hand it over, and then they come back at you with Special Agent Tom Sawyer, I get why you don't like it, right? And he also shoot 'em's good, but wait, no, he doesn't.
No,
because
he's terrible.
He never hits a single target
terrible.
in the whole movie. Shoots a lot of bullets, never hits anything. Just a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun. Of the characters, what was the one that you liked the most? Oh, hold on, we forgot Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we're missing one
We're
there.
missing one, which is the most outlandish of all of them.
Yeah. Well, when he's first introduced, right, he's already in Mr. Hyde form.
Yes.
And I was like, is that the extraordinary Hulk?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
It is.
Extraordinary bulk.
So not only is he the extraordinary bulk, he's running atop the rooftops, and his clothes are torn because much as Hulks do, when they get big, when they Hulk, their clothes rip. However, he's got a really big hat.
The hat. Why the hell did the hat? Why is the hat so big?
Everything else is regular size, but his hat.
For some reason, the hat grows with him.
And they make it a point because Tom Sawyer picks up the hat and goes, "Oh, it's a big hat." What?
It's funny because it's bigger than a normal size hat.
Yeah. It is interesting that they knew that they were coming up against the first iteration of Hulk, and that had like an $80 million budget just for the animations of the Hulk, and this had an $80 million budget total. So they knew they couldn't compete with that, so they went the route of like prosthetics.
Yeah.
But man, there's some interesting choices in the way that man looks.
We also, because I was like, Captain Nemo. We didn't talk about
Oh
him.
God, yeah, Captain Nemo as well. I'm forgetting the
Because
whole
that's
cast.
my answer.
Okay.
Is Captain Nemo. Because he is full of surprises, that guy. And they don't explain any of them. We have done more character development now than the whole movie does.
Yes. You are absolutely correct. We forgot about Captain Nemo, famous from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and other stories that no American knows.
No.
was the one character that I was probably the most familiar with, having watched the Disney films and other iterations that include the stuff. He's got a ship.
Oh, our transportation is forthcoming.
And it does the thing that I love about films that have CGI. The consistency of the sizing of the ship is anything but.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Anything but. And maybe we're getting too far into the film.
This is our concern, dude.
But there's nothing that defines Nemo more than his gadgets.
Yes.
Right.
Some of them are okay, I guess, would be my term for that.
Yeah.
And then some of them are ships that are either kind of big or fucking gigantic.
Right.
Behold, Nautilus, the sword of the ocean.
Well, and the first introduction of his gadgets is, remember, 1899.
Yes.
They pull out the fucking Batmobile.
Yep.
Kind of cool. I kind of liked it.
It was okay.
Yeah.
But nobody on the street. That thing is surrounded by people in real life.
Yeah.
What is that? And everybody just goes about their day.
Yep.
The other part of that, because I noticed that too, but what struck me more was the line that says, "Call me Ishmael."
Yeah. Why?
Probably could have saved that for outside the white ship instead of in front of the white car.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
There were a couple weird little, like, just nods and references.
Yeah.
Like when Quarterman gets out of the car.
Yes.
And he says, "Oh, you made good time." And he goes, "Tell that to Phineas Ferb or whatever, around the world in 80 days.
Phineas Ferb. Oh, man, we are bouncing so far all over everything, but I have that highlighted
That's
in
what
my
the
notes.
movie is.
Yes, it is just vague references to other things that you may remember slightly.
Yeah.
Around the world in 80 days. Great. Call me Ishmael. Great. They're just throwaway lines that you just, it's like you went ChatGPT. Just throw in a couple words every once in a while from something else.
Yeah.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. We're all over the place.
Yes.
So we're going to regroup for a second.
Okay.
We're going to back up.
This is some parlor game.
We've blown things up in a tank.
Yes. This is how I watched the movie, by the way. The way we're discussing this is exactly how I watched the movie. I was over here, then I was over here, then I was over here, then I was over here. Then I fell asleep, then I woke up, and I was watching the ending.
Yeah. And I will say that the plot doesn't exactly exist, so there's not really anything to lose. But we've got our bad guy. He's called the Phantom, of course, because the Phantom of the Opera. You know, why wouldn't we? We then are introduced to the man that is going to form the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. In this, they reference and make it sound as though there have been various different versions of the League.
Right.
All with their photos in this room.
Yes.
The man's name is M, of course.
Yeah.
A reference to James Bond.
Right. So there's an M and a Q
Yes.
with the Quartermain.
Yes.
That was weird.
Well, in the graphic novel, James Bond's great-great-grandfather.
Shut up.
Joke.
Really?
Shut up.
Really?
You're making it up.
I'm not making it up. I am not making it up. That is not that guy, but he's involved. Like, there's just the level of nonsense is very much Field of Dreams in my eyes. But they get together, they're meeting, they're in the room. We're going to get slowly introduced to the characters. And let's talk about how we get introduced to the Invisible Man. Because it's kind of cool. And then kind of not.
Yep.
Because it's kind of what this movie is. It's just one scene. Well, that was kind of cool. And then the next scene, well, what the fuck?
Spew into this.
Did you not get that feeling from him?
I got that feeling from the entire movie.
Yeah, right.
So, Tim, do you regale us with how we're introduced to the Invisible Man, an Invisible Man?
Well, so now I'm not remembering because what I got fixated on is late. Because does he drink the scotch in the first scene? Okay,
not in the first scene, but he does in the second scene.
I didn't pay attention because I'm like, tell me they're gonna show it. Tell me they're gonna show it.
The drinking of the
fluid going.
Okay. All right, let's get to that. Let's get to that. So you get introduced to him by him not existing.
Yep.
He just starts talking.
He just starts talking, startles our old man, Connery.
My eyesight must be not as good as I thought.
That's all I am.
That's my Connery. I've never done it before.
He just does some good pantomiming, which he does a couple times in the film, where he grabs the invisible guy.
I hated that. It looked so bad.
Just pushes air against a wall. But then our guy just starts taking this white paint and he smears it on his face, which was pretty cool. The way they did that was interesting too. They just had him in a blue suit, buck-ass naked in a blue suit with his bits hanging out. And then he just did the smearing of the paint on there, and it turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
However, this movie does not have a gigantic budget. So doing that in every scene is not possible.
Right.
So instead, what we have is a cut to his entire face is just white.
Yeah.
His entire head is white.
Right.
Let's just put a hat on him so we can pretend that he didn't actually cover the top of his head.
Right.
But later, as Tim says, he's going to drink some scotch. And it is one of my favorite parts because Mina says, don't let that spoil your paint or whatever.
Yeah.
And he says, I won't or whatever. And then he drinks it. And what happens, Tim, when he drinks the scotch?
It goes right down his gullet.
They show
nice little spiral motion, like a drain. I've never thought about what it looks like inside, but that's probably what it is.
So let's talk about that for a minute. If he's invisible, but nothing that goes inside of him is invisible as well, and if he drinks things, it's visible. Is he not just walking around with a full bladder at all times with just stuff sloshing around?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, what if he eats something?
Yeah, then there's just chewed up hamburgers walking around,
There's
floating
just
around.
Floating turds. I couldn't get past it. As soon as that went down his throat,
It's just turds.
I was like, it's just that's the turd guy. That's the naked turd guy.
Yeah, 100%. That's why you shouldn't do that in your movie.
Movies. Invisible people are weird to begin with, but it's got to be a cloak. It's got to be something between you and the guy. It can't be the guy himself.
No.
For the reasons of this.
Yeah.
Because then you can't do the cool shot where the drink spirals down.
Yeah.
Because now we got questions.
Yeah.
And most of them are pooper,
Where did it go?
Right. Yeah.
Where did it go?
I'll tell you where it went. It went to his bladder and then just sloshed around while he's hanging out trying to pretend he's not there. All of a sudden you're just looking over and he's like, God damn, dude. Jesus, man.
They're a floating pile of shit.
I would constantly just be telling that guy, stop eating. Stop. You're not allowed to eat. The thing I did like about that, though, she says, don't get it on your face. And then when shit hits the fan, first thing he does is take that drink and slosh it on his face and rub the makeup off. So that was cool.
Yeah, they do cool things.
Yes.
They just, it's just a little disjointed at every turn.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I think this is the point where we bring up that this is directed by the director that did the movie Blade.
Oh, yeah.
So two things happened after this film was done. This is Stephen Norrington is the director. He was the director of Blade. That's how he got this role. Famously, Sean Connery and Stephen Norrington did not get along. So much so that Stephen Norrington did not go to the party for the film after it was done. And Sean Connery was asked, well, where is he? And his response was, probably in the insane asylum. So that pretty much sets the tone for how these two got along, which was that they didn't. Sean Connery, since retired, this was his last film. He said, fuck it, I'm done with movies. I'm never doing this again. Norrington also said, never again, I'm never working on a studio film. And according to Stephen Dorff, the actor that's in Blade.
Dorff does golf?
Yes, Dorff does golf. He's just secretly been working on a project in his basement, like a stop motion type project in his basement for like the last 10 years.
Like the guy from Parks and Rec?
Yep.
Yeah. Adam Scott.
Yep. So at some point.
It's like only like 3 seconds long. It's so terrible.
So at some point, we are going to be just given a gift, which will be the Stephen Norrington film that has his basement film that will be happening. But this is where the action starts happening. We get a lot of over-the-top action here. They're in a library, lots of paper. just getting shot all over the place.
Yeah, this is one of my biggest problems with the movie is, realistic fight scenes.
Yes.
Are important to me.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why I hated the Boba Fett show so much.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were just too many times where it was like,
Right.
oh, everyone's dead.
Yes.
Yeah. You're in the middle of this library with, 20 guys surrounding you with guns trained on you?
Yeah.
Right.
And when they start shooting,
Yeah.
nobody gets shot.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
You're all dead.
Yes. And so they all have automatic rifles, which was a point that, was introduced early in the film, which is, again, this new technology that this guy has provided. Just a lot of bullets. So many bullets that books have been completely destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
It was basically the shower scene from The Rock. Sean Connery should have seen this shit coming. Like,
and that is, we get the introduction to Tom Sawyer and find out that he can't shoot. We do get introduced that Alan Quartermain, Sean Connery, can shoot.
Yeah.
Because he puts a bead on a guy and shoots him through a bookcase.
That was cool.
It's pretty cool.
yeah.
Again,
I have a
couple cool
quote
things.
here, and I don't know if I made it up or if it's from the movie.
Oh, it doesn't matter at this point.
You brought me a Winchester. You're in. I think I added the "you're in" part.
Yeah.
He just gives him a guy. He's like, welcome to the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes. So the bookcase stuff happens. Then they got to go get their other characters. A part of this, and I was watching some of the behind the scenes stuff, and the guy that the producer says, kind of what you do with these films is you got to introduce them, but you got to introduce them in chunks. So we get introduced to a few characters, then a couple more, then fill out the roster.
Yep.
This is the point where we're introduced to Gray as well as Tom Sawyer,
Right. The lead singer of Sum 41.
leader of Sum 41. Gray, his power is that he is forever young.
Yeah, he's immortal.
He's immortal.
Not a gazelle.
Yes, he makes a point to let you know that. So long as he never looks at the painting of himself.
Yeah.
Because as he is staying young, his painting is continuing to age because there's a curse or whatever it is.
Right.
Well, when is it made clear about that? Because they just got vaguely mentioned this painting.
He straight up tells her, Mina, that
Oh, that's right.
happened.
Yeah, that's
he,
right.
He explains it to her, which of course comes back to haunt him. But I enjoy this part because in order to show us that he is immortal, he gets shot with a bunch of bullets.
Yes. Somebody finally gets hit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
he
it's the guy that can't die.
Yes. And he just kind of has ashes kind of pour out.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like Wolverine.
Yeah, he heals right back up like Wolverine, only ashy. But when it happens, he gets shot, and then the guy's like, what the hell?
He goes, "What are you?"
And he grabs his clothing and he pulls it down, and it all just shatters and falls.
Yeah.
And then he just says,
I'm complicated.
Thanks, Gray.
I'm complicated.
But then 10 seconds later, all of his clothes are right back on. He's good to go.
Yeah.
Yep. No explanation. A fine suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the
Yeah,
suit.
he's probably got a bunch.
Well, yes, but not in the library of
He's got them everywhere.
Yeah, he's just got it.
It makes as much sense as anything else
Yeah,
in
it
the
just
movie.
keeps-
He just has suits stashed all around the world.
Yeah, it just keeps happening. So at this point, we get our boat. Now we've seen our boat.
Which is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I first saw it, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why is it so big?
Yeah.
It's like this. It's like the fucking Empire State Building.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And it looks exactly like the ship from the video game Lost Odyssey.
I was trying not to reference Lost Odyssey. Both that and the car remind me of Lost Odyssey.
Nerd alert!
In the comic, it's a cool. It's like what you would think of Nemo's submarine looking like. You know, like kind of that Disney
Yeah.
look. However, it's got a freaking squid right on the front. Like it's cool looking.
Yeah.
And instead of doing that, you just made a sword. That's
Sword
in
of the Sea.
The Sword of the Sea. They make reference to make sure you're not going like, this is gay. It's 2003. We can say it. It was still, that's what you would say at that point.
It's very pretty.
It is.
Yeah, and gigantic.
Yeah.
Just massive. but yet later,
but can somehow go through the canals of Italy, Venice, or wherever they are.
So we talked about this before. When you watch like old, like the crappy shark movies on like sci-fi or whatever, the problem with those films is like, oh, it's a big shark, and then all of a sudden it like eats a boat, but it like they just took footage of a regular shark and put a little boat in its mouth.
Yeah,
it's like the consistency of how big the shark is tells you how bad the movie is. This boat is the most inconsistent in size of maybe anything in any film ever.
Yeah.
It goes from gigantic to pretty tiny.
Yeah, to like smaller than a frigate.
Go with the British terms.
It's what they were using at the time.
Yeah, it's giant at the dock. But then to your point, it's just all of a sudden it fits in Venice. Also, I have a question about the strategy. How come it's above water during the day and below water during the night?
They do at one point make reference to solar. He's charging the solar panels. But I think my biggest problem with this film was that they're like, assemble. And then they're like, it's going to take us 3 days to get to Italy. And then it literally takes 3 days of actual film time for you to watch them get to Italy. Because it just slows to the slowest crawl.
Well, and he says 3 days to Italy, and the lead singer of Sum 41 says, can this canoe make it that fast or whatever? And it's like, well, yeah. Look, how are you questioning anything when you see this ship? All bets are off.
And you've seen the car at this point.
Right.
You know, you're pretty aware that we're no longer in reality.
Right.
Here, Tom Sawyer. Tom?
Yeah. You see that ship, and somebody says it's going to take 3 days, and you say, okay.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Why would you not believe anything?
Yeah, Special Agent Tom Sawyer.
It's Derek. His name's Derek. Derek Wimbley, I think.
So they get to Venice, and of course we find out that along the way we believe that an invisible man has become the bad guy.
Right.
Because he's nowhere to be found.
Right.
And they also take every effort to make you believe that.
Yes.
The notebook falling in the captain's.
Yes.
It's like, oh, well, the invisible man was just there.
Yeah. He was there.
Clearly he did it.
Yeah. My absolute favorite scene from this movie is Sean Connery's just hanging out in his room, and all of a sudden his Quatermain senses start tingling.
He can feel the nothing on my back.
Feel the nothing on his back, and he just grabs the air and shuffles the air out of the room and says, "From now on, I want you fully clothed." And that happened, and then I thought to myself, "Oh shit, yeah." So in order for him to be invisible, he has to be completely naked.
Yeah.
So an invisible man is just naked, breathing over top of Quatermain's neck.
I don't think he was breathing. I think Quatermain was.
You got a steady supply of that white paint.
Where's this whiteout coming from? Salty.
He's the bad guy at this point. Of course, we're going to get twists. For those of you that have seen the film, you're aware that the twists are coming. But we get to Venice. The bad guy's plot is to destroy Venice. So
because that's what they stole from the Bank of London was the plans.
The plans for Venice, which is awesome. Awesome. So right at the beginning of the film.
There's blueprints for the entire city.
Yep. And it's Da Vinci.
Of course, Da Vinci.
Yes.
Of course, Da Vinci has blueprints for the entire city of Venice. And not just the city, the underlings.
Yeah.
He's got it all. And they had to use a tank to get in to get it. But we decide that this is what's happening because Nemo has a copy of all of those drawings that were stolen from the Bank of London on his magic ship. He just has copies of the blueprints of the underground of Venice.
As is, of course, the tradition.
Which might explain how he got his big-ass ship in there.
It's true.
Could.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason we know that this is the bad guy's plan. Because we found he's going to Venice. We know he's going to Venice. Oh, shit.
He's going to blow up Venice.
I paid for these. I bought these. I thought this might come in handy. Check these.
Oh, I've seen this episode before.
Check these out. I've got Da Vinci's drawings You don't got to go to London. Right. I've got them right fucking here.
Yeah.
Bought them at a souvenir shop. They're readily
that
available.
I drove my boat into.
They're readily available for all people to get their hands on. Why you got to drive a tank into a bank?
Right.
I got them right here, conveniently.
Well, now, extraordinary gentleman indeed.
So we're going to Venice. Mm-hmm. Now, this is another part that I like about the production. Two things happen. So they filmed this all in Prague. The idea of Venice was inserted because the original plot was that they were going to have poisonous gas in the subways of New York. 9/11 happened. So we can't have New York. So instead, let's blow up all the buildings in a different city. Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody cares about Venice.
It's going to be underwater soon anyways.
According to Da Vinci,
Fucking thing sucks.
they decided to film in Prague. Of course, Prague has the most flooding it's ever had in the history of time. And they lose everything. All of the sets, everything get destroyed. And they said something that was like under like 17 feet of water. It was like
what?
It was like a crazy amount of water that all this stuff was underneath. Just lost everything. And you would think, you call up the studio and you go, hey, got a problem here. Two things. One, water everywhere. Two, I know we're supposed to be shooting in Venice, but now we're shooting in Atlantis because it's all underwater. P.S., all of the crew that we've hired is from Prague and from the outlying areas. They can't get to work. So can we maybe just back up this time frame a little bit and not have the film be released at the same time you're saying, which is in a handful of months?
Yeah.
And in typical Hollywood fashion, the answer is nope, the show must go on. Everything has to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
The flooding must subside so that people can actually get to work to actually do this work. And so they rebuilt the entire thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was like 800 feet of actual buildings that they had built so they could shoot all that stuff in.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and then they did it. They did 3 rows. So there was the Venice roads, and then on either side they had the Paris and then England, so that, if you look down the side streets, you'd see buildings.
Right.
Okay.
So we're talking about a massive amount of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the budget didn't really go up much either.
Right.
Knowing that they're like, no, shooting schedule will continue. So right in the middle, they have to redo everything. So at this point, we're all in on Venice. We're not changing this.
Right.
We're going to blow up Venice. And how did you guys feel about that whole part with how that whole thing goes down with the blowing up of Venice?
Yeah, that'll make you want to never wake up. It was very confusing.
They all jump out of the car moving so fast.
Dude, I love that so much. With the Dorian Gray guy, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because he's an
Right,
immortal,
yeah,
maybe he's
magical,
magic.
yeah.
He'll just turn
But
to
when
dust.
the 80-year-old Quartermain does it and just lands on his
he just
feet.
plants.
They're driving like 60 miles an hour and he just jumps out like he just jumped off a swing set.
So
It's science.
So yeah, the jumping out of the vehicle is great. So here's what happens. Nemo says, I've got a missile. I've got a missile.
It's just that everybody's on board. And, like somebody says one thing and everybody's like, oh yeah, this is what we'll do. Of course.
A missile. A missile. Why wouldn't we?
There's no time. How are we going to get to where we need to get?
I can track it.
Can track what?
The car.
What do you mean?
Oh, the automobile.
Yeah, but what do you mean you can track it? How? Yes. With what? Yeah. What? What are you talking about?
Nothing's ever tracked anything before. There's never been a tracking system.
Yeah.
Ever.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Your missile. So the buildings are going to collapse, and they're collapsing like dominoes, which makes no fucking sense either. So evidently the bombs only go off if the building falls onto the next building, which I don't understand.
Yeah, it was very confusing.
So the buildings are going to fall like dominoes. They've got to get out ahead of it in order to stop the dominoes from falling. Tom Sawyer says, I fucking got this. He gets in the car, does a sweet freaking 180. Mm-hmm. Never seen a vehicle before.
He's never seen a vehicle before in his life.
He's American. He knows what he's doing.
He does. He does.
That's fair.
He gets in that baby. He's going to go. Okay. Nemo says, I can track that. We're going to shoot that because Quartermain's like, that's your target. Boom. We're good to go. So then they all get in the car and they start driving. And there's people shooting at them. And Quartermain says
From everywhere.
From everywhere.
Yeah, again, completely surrounded, on all sides, no matter how fast you're driving. So this guy just has an army of 700,000 people that he put on top of every building in Venice, just in case these people show up to drive a car and shoot a missile at it.
And the buildings were blowing up. Remind you of that.
Yeah.
Remind you of that.
Everyone's gonna
In
die.
retrospect, the convertible looked cool, but I should have gone for the sedan.
Tom Sawyer's like, take the wheel, and just starts shooting. Doesn't hit anything again. He never hits anything.
Never.
And they never even address it. It would have been great plot, building to be at the end where it's like, oh, fuck, he actually has to shoot somebody now. That's good plot building. But he's just freaking firing shot after shot after shot, never hits anything. And then, like you guys said, one by one, the characters other than Tom Sawyer decide, I've had enough of this vehicle. This is my stop.
Right.
And they one by one just jump off at random fucking points.
Oh, yeah.
Just random points.
Yeah, the vampire lady.
Yeah.
Just after after the lead singer of Sum 41 wastes all of his bullets, which he never runs out.
No, never.
But he's fired so many bullets, and the vampire lady just says, "Save your bullets. These men are mine." And she flies out of
she's Bat Lady.
Out of the car.
Yeah.
And can somehow summon bats.
Yep.
So there's just a swarm of bats.
Yep.
And that it's my least favorite line read of the entire movie, where Sean Connery turns from a super badass marksman leader of the league to an old grandpa when he points up and says, "The Bat Lady will cover us." Like he looks super excited to say it. Like he honestly looks like Joe Biden. Well, the Bat Lady will cover us.
He's been waiting for that line in the script since day one. Famously, Sean Connery took this role because he turned down a role in The Matrix. He also turned down a role of Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings, both because he said he didn't get it.
He didn't understand.
So he read this script. And I've actually found the footage of him saying, I didn't understand it. So he took the role because those films I didn't get.
Yeah.
This one I also don't get, but damn it, there's a Bat Lady.
Well, that's really good. That was good. That was a really good Connery. Holy shit. I didn't understand what you said. I didn't either. But you sounded just like him.
That's the whole point. All right, we're running out of time here, folks. We got to keep going. They jump out of the vehicle. The Sean Connery jumping out is the best one for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
He just jumps up and lands straight on his old man knees.
Yeah.
He doesn't even do the fist to the ground superhero move.
No. He just hops out. Just
just put a little bloop sound in there. Yeah. Lands on his feet for no reason. There's no point because he actually never does anything after that.
Well, he chases the Phantom guy.
To do what?
To confront him.
Oh, yes, he does confront him.
So he confronts the Phantom guy.
Right. And we find out.
That it's actually M. The guy that put the team together in the first place.
And this is the point where you should start as a astute listener and viewer, you should start picking up the clues. That we are now aware that there's something afoot.
Yeah.
His name is M. There's some other hints that are along the way when they say some things. Someone says, "Look out, James," earlier. The hints are coming as to what this guy is.
It was a real intense game of hide and seek in the cemetery for him to catch him.
Yes.
I was like, wow. These guys are really at it. Maybe if you stopped talking, he would never find you.
Yes.
You fucking moron. Shut your mouth.
This super creepy.
Taunting him the whole way.
Yeah. That's what villains do.
Shot in an actual cemetery.
And they end up with a fat lip.
Yeah, he ends up with Jesus Christ, this movie. So Tom Sawyer launches, missile launches, boom, smash. We've stopped.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Saved Venice, even though half of Venice is now gone.
Right. How many people died?
Yeah, half of Venice has crumbled. We saved half of it, though.
Yeah.
Because we stopped the dominoes. Mm-hmm. And then much like the producer says, so you get your characters, then you disband your characters, and then you bring them back for the scene. And so here we all come back to the boat, one at a time, all with one-liners, of course.
Yes, of course.
And now we found out that the real villain is M. And at this point...
And we find that out in the best way possible.
Yes.
How's that?
Yes. Tim?
Well, they have a record.
Yes. A recording disc.
A recording disc, but it's also, they show us what it was like when they recorded said record, which my first thought was, I wonder how many takes this took. Because it's quite the...
I'd say one take. We did it all in one take, and we just said, good enough.
What do they reference Dorian, and they call him the wolf? And he just goes... What does he say? Woof or bark? Like it's something, but he says it like very sexually. Like, woof.
Growl.
He's so fabulous.
So to start off the recording disc, we hear the secretary type lady say, all right, Professor. So now the clues are filling in.
Yeah.
Professor James M.
Yes.
But you are correct. There is a recording disc that they put on an old timey, what do you even call
Monophone.
that? Yeah, monophone. And then a choice is made, a visual choice is made within the film that we are going to do an old-timey filter over top of the footage.
Nice little sepia.
For whatever fucking reason.
Because they can't see that.
No.
This is just for us.
It's just
for the audience.
But it's worth wondering, right? Nemo's like, oh, I got a TV. And they're like, oh, great.
Hold on. Does this recording disc, can I see what's behind it?
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. I got just the thing.
This is the point where I lost my shit. I've gone along with everything. I've made fun of things up until this point. But as soon as that happened, because it's not even a good old-timey filter, it's like the cartoon one from like SNL.
Yeah.
Like
just a sepia tone.
You went ham on shitty fucking filter that like someone in the editing bay had to go, you know what? Let's try it.
Yeah.
And then they did it, and then no one stopped that from being in the fucking film.
Yeah.
Or they just ran out of time.
Well,
they
that
couldn't
also
fix
happened.
it.
Right.
They're like, I don't really like it, but there's no time. Leave it in.
Supposedly that
Whatever.
also
He's
happened.
just sharing his motivations anyways.
Yep. So that's where we find out who the true villain is. Gray is a part of the villainry. Moriarty. Oh, sorry, we don't know that yet.
Oh, easy.
We don't know that yet.
Easy. Don't get in too deep.
Professor James M. is a part of it. And now we've got to go. But the only way we know where to go is because Gray has gotten into the adventure pod, excuse me, and is zipping along.
That thing is cool.
That thing
really
is
weird.
so Wild West, the Wild Wild West.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
You hired whoever was involved in that was involved in the movie Wild Wild
Yes.
West.
Is there going to be a giant spider?
Yeah.
For sure. But of course we can track it. We've learned that. We have missiles. We can track it. We're going to track where it goes. But then we find out that Skinner which is a great name for an invisible
guy.
guy.
Skinner. That's good.
Yeah. He has snuck onto this ship as well. And he is sitting there naked. And it's not a very big ship.
No.
So what he was doing to Sean Connery earlier, breathing on his neck with his balls out.
Yeah.
He is just committed to the bit of, I'm just going to hang out here with my balls out.
Yeah.
With this guy in this tiny little capsule while we travel halfway around the world, because we go from Venice to Mongolia
Yeah.
in a vehicle that just spins on its side.
Right.
like a fucking paddle boat.
Yeah.
Halfway around the world.
From summer to winter.
I don't want to say that it's unrealistic, but at some point that man's balls started to sting. There's no way that somewhere along the line the wolf didn't go,
Oh, I can't handle this.
It stings the nostrils.
Something's up.
All right. So, anyways, they get to where they're going. Mongolia, completely covered in winter, by the way.
I was just really thankful that they showed us the red line on the map so that I knew where they were going. I would have been lost.
Yeah, that's very important. Hold on. Where are we?
We can only get there because we have a submarine that can come up through the ice. And now we're in the winter. And it turns out that the entire plot, and we learn this now, is that there is no league. It has just been a ruse to get all of these individuals into a room so that we can steal their special powers.
Right. And he had to get Quartermain to do it because Quartermain's the hunter. and he can track down. Basically, I think it was just so he could hide.
So that's the part that I'm going to draw a weird line on. When they get to this point and they're like, we wanted her vampirism. We want his invisibility.
Right. We want the doctor's potion.
The doctor's potion for being Hyde. And then they never even say Quartermain anything about him. Oh, we don't need good shot. That's just practice.
No, he was just there to get Hyde, I think.
Okay, because
they wanted his mojo, baby.
In my viewing, I was like, but what about Quartermain? And then they didn't bring it up. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He doesn't.
His ability is practice.
He can't die in Africa.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It is true. He can't die in Africa.
That is true.
So we've got a huge factory where they are now producing multiple. Oh, that was why they needed Nemo. They wanted Nemo because they wanted blueprints to his gadgets because they can't just steal those from the Bank of London. They got to get his actual, get in there, take the photos.
The Nautili.
The Nautili, multiple Nautilus. So talk to me about this factory because it's a fun little bit. Our naked friend, and this is the only time they really truly reference him being super naked.
Yes.
He comes back walking through the tundra.
Right.
The frozen tundra.
Yeah.
And they do the little specks on him. The snow is on him. So you can see that, there's a guy there somewhere. And he references the fact that he's freezing because he's naked. And then you're like, yeah, that's fuck.
Yeah. I sorry, I didn't pay much attention to that part because I was emotionally invested in the tiger. I can't believe we're bypassing that.
I kind of thought we were gonna. I thought we were about to. We were about to gloss over that one.
Metaphor for Sean Connery's career at that point.
Yeah, I wanted to move past it, but I didn't.
But yes, so he is naked.
And he's just walking naked in the snow. No shoes, no nothing, no cloak. It's just a naked guy getting a little bit of snow on his wang.
Yep.
Mina does look down at his junk at one point, which I appreciated. I liked that. Yes.
Well, and when he shows up and announces himself by grabbing Mina's ass.
That's right. That's right. Yep. And
she slaps him. Good aim.
She does slap him, but then she
goes
looks
all
down
crazy
at his junk.
Amanda Bunk face on him.
Yeah. So they got to make sure we're still 2003 here. We got to make sure the women are presented as they would be.
Right.
Yeah. He grabs your ass, you slap him. However,
with all she's got.
Better look at his junk real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure you can see. The tiger is weird. There's some kind of metaphor for something.
They are most fierce right before they die.
Oh, is that what's happening?
Yeah, he tells a little quip earlier in the movie.
Yep.
I watched this movie 4 times.
You didn't get that? That was like the whole fucking point of that scene.
I wish I would have missed it. So it was just like, what the
hell was that all about?
I'm not gonna lie. That scene happened, and I was like, you've lost me. You've lost me. So the subsequent viewings of that, I didn't even pay attention to what was happening in that scene.
Yeah. So Quartermain and Nemo have a short little conversation on the boat, and Connery says something about a tiger being
they're most fierce, like
just
right up to the point.
About to die.
Sure. Interesting.
And then the tiger sees that Quartermain is also an old tiger, and he decides no thanks.
Yeah.
And then Nemo comes out and is like, perhaps it's not this tiger's time to die.
Mm-hmm. Not that tiger's.
Not that tiger.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe not this one either, says Connery.
And the hunt is still on.
So we got to get into a factory.
Yep.
Thank God that we've established that this film is very much like X-Men, and we did that in the marketing because instead of just calling it League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, we have called it LXG, which makes no fucking sense because it should have been called Leg.
Yes.
Doesn't have as good of a ring to
but
it.
because of the X-Men, somehow we found an X in there. LXG.
Extraordinary.
Yes. Extraordinary. Americans need Tom Sawyer. They also can't spell.
Yes.
So now we're going to break in, and now all of our powers are important because we somehow need everyone.
Yeah, just blowing it up, which is the main part, but they can't just let the Invisible Man go in and do that.
Well, you were forgetting we also have missiles.
That's true.
We have
just the one.
Missile.
Bomb away.
we have missiles. I think there's actually a shot in the film where there are multiple missile bays open.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so we have missiles, but no, we got to go in. We all, and not just one of us. We all got to go in.
Not the invisible guy.
Yeah, no.
I have such a problem with invisible
Who
people.
was already there?
Right.
He was already there.
right.
Yeah.
All we're looking for is the little case of the goodies and then blow it up, right?
Yes.
Isn't that what all we're trying to do?
Yeah, well, he's putting the dynamite under all the boilers.
Yeah, because they're
And
going to blow
then
it up anyways.
It's the great scene where the sparks are coming down.
Yeah.
Ow.
Ow. Yeah. Ouch.
Because again, he's naked.
But also, he's putting dynamite right under where he's getting burned. Yes.
Right.
Like, that dynamite's going to blow up in your hand.
That should work.
I don't know. Maybe that's not how dynamite works, but I'm pretty sure if you start it on fire, it'll blow up.
So this film.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure. Well, dynamite is pretty volatile.
Volatile.
So it's a good term. This film at this point does what films of this nature do, which is completely runs out of fucking money.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it is at this point where it all goes off the rails. All of the CGI throughout the film has been okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a great explosion that happens in Africa.
Yes.
That is spectacular. It is my second note. It is Austin Powers steamroller, the fucking explosion in Africa. So they built the first, like a section of the first floor of this building, this massive hotel in Africa. And then you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because the way they've set up the shot, you're
Right,
like,
the way it's framed.
it's
Yeah.
going to blow up.
Yeah. It's a
Well,
focal point back there.
and
Why?
they've already shown you the bomb, so you know it's going to blow up. So I'm watching it, and as it happens, I giggled first, and then I just went, "What?" And once you've let all the air out of yourself, and you realize what you're in for,
Yeah.
because this thing explodes
Yes.
in a
Big
big explosion, but then
It remains.
yeah. It's
Just a
okay.
little fire.
Yeah, it's just burning now.
quick, everyone, quick!
Get the water. Ah, fuck, we're in Africa.
So the explosions have not been fantastic throughout the film, but now we're going into this thing, and it just completely falls off the fucking rails in terms of there's no money. There's no money, so much so that by the time you get to the end, it starts getting very, very comical.
Right.
But now now we're facing off against the adversaries that have the same powers. So there's another
Ooh, yeah.
invisible man.
Oh yeah,
Floating knife.
another invisible man.
There's
Yeah.
there's a
Just a
floating
floating knife that
Yep.
captures the lead singer of Sum 41.
Yes, he does. Yes.
and the other Mr. Hyde.
Mr. Hyde, which we haven't given enough praise to.
We really
Yeah.
have kind of glossed over that entire character.
We did. We glossed over him saving the ship.
Right.
Yes.
That somehow remains buoyant despite having massive holes in it underwater.
Well, I think
Just tipped it
the
on its
thing,
side.
the thing he pulls the lever on something and it just like jettisons all the water
the
out
water
or something.
pump.
And then
He
they
pulls the water pump.
and then they fly out of the ocean like a fucking whale, and it's like everybody in that ship is at the back of the ship now, just pinned to the. We've all been on that ride at the fair that spins.
They've all got the bends now.
Yes.
But Nemo's got a rocket for that. Yes. Hyde has saved us a couple times.
Yes.
And it's the same fucking Bruce Banner bullshit where
Yep.
he's like doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
I can't let that guy out. I can't let that guy out.
Yeah.
Only in this case, he has to actually drink a potion to let him out. So, but he uses him to save us. But now we've established there is another invisible man.
Mm-hmm.
But now we know that something's coming, Tim. Do we not?
Yes.
And what happens? Where do we go? Because if we've got another invisible man, chances are we're either going to get another vampire or another fucking ashy dude or another potential Hyde.
A potential Hyde we have.
Well, what's going to happen is you're going to end up fighting Stretch Armstrong.
He gets the bottle of the elixir.
Yes. So
Pours it all over his face.
I mean, he really. It starts and he kind of is like, and it's almost like it's too delicious.
Yes.
He can't handle it anymore. The other one is just like, that's too much.
yeah, not the whole thing. He says, "Fucking stop him, dude."
Yeah.
What? Just I'll wait. No, don't drink the whole thing. Fuck, he's gonna drink the whole thing.
So he just starts pouring it on himself like gasoline. Oh my god! And this is the point where I just couldn't stop laughing because he, instead of turning into like a Hulk, kind of like this other guy, they went full CGI on this one.
Yeah,
and it looks like a kid's drawing of a Hulk that you've then animated.
Yeah.
It is the most absurd looking nonsense.
Yeah.
It's really poorly done.
He's really got a really big right arm, right?
Yeah. Well, for some reason, they get all Quasimodo'd when they hide up. So, yeah, it's very interesting. We know that there's danger because our hide just keeps yelling, Nemo!
Yes.
Well, he calls for Nemo at one point, and then Nemo shows up and he goes, run! Like, why did you call him in the first place?
That's why I fucking love you, because that's exactly what I was going to say. He just keeps yelling, Nemo! Nemo! And then Nemo shows up and he just goes, run!
God, I was able to warn you.
You need to not be here right now where I've called you to.
Yeah, come here.
Jesus
Get out of here.
And then there's that scene where there's two guys with the guns and they're just right. And he's just like, shut up. And he just punches. And I'm just like, oh, so he's really strong too.
Yeah, Nemo is a martial artist, which is also just something they made up for the film.
And swordsman.
Yeah,
swordsman. He goes crazy swordsman on Stretch Armstrong.
The actor, and I'm not even going to look up who it is, but the actor is actually he is a famous actor from like Bollywood.
Yeah.
So he was a big draw for the international crowd as well.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm seeing something here, and I just need to reference it right before the ship blows up. And I know I'm falling back here, but my thing just says "Bon Voyage."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was good. Nice.
I thought we missed it.
We might as well go back. I'm sorry to our listeners. We are all over the place.
Big letters. Bon voyage. Smiley face.
Voyage! Exclamation point! Smiley face. Mine has a winky face.
Gay.
That's great.
Bon voyage.
So we get our fight with our hide, and then we are at the final scene, and we're gonna wrap this baby up here. Quartermain and Tom Sawyer throughout this film. Quartermain has been, taking him under his arm like his own son.
Yes, because his own son died in his arms.
Yes,
and a heart attack.
And Quartermain has been teaching him how to shoot. Practice makes perfect.
Oh, so when he is teaching him how to shoot, and they got that weird skeet shooter thing on the top of the ship
that just lays out a buoy, by the way.
Yeah, I don't. What's the fucking point of that thing in the first
place?
Air
and then it just bobs.
But at the end of that scene, so the lead singer of Sum 41 is aiming out at the ocean, and Sean Connery sneaks away.
Yeah,
and then the lead singer of Sum 41 realizes that Sean Connery's gone away. So he puts the gun down, and then he puts his hands on top of the barrel, and then puts his chin on top of his hands. So he's just resting on a loaded fucking gun. I was like, blow your head off, dude.
He's an American.
Yeah, no care. Pain for pleasure.
So we've established early in this film that Tom is not a good shot.
No.
But Sean Connery has been injured. He can't take the last shot, not because he's fully injured.
Because his glasses broke.
But his glasses broke. Yes. The one character with no superpowers also has shitty eyesight. In an era when glasses were probably not just prevalent. So throughout all of this shit that's been happening, this entire film, the man's glasses survive until the very
until he gets stabbed in the shoulder.
Isn't that the way it always goes?
Until he needs them.
It's not fair.
And God damn it, if you don't know at this point that it is Professor James Moriarty.
Yeah.
Which out of fucking nowhere, there's no explanation to who Moriarty is in any way, shape, or form whatsoever.
And
I was like, that's the bad guy from Sherlock Holmes?
The only reason I know that, because I've read Sherlock Holmes stories before, I didn't remember that at all for whatever reason, other than I just watched a play this last winter that was a combination of Sherlock Holmes and Christmas Carol. and they just kept talking about Moriarty. So as I'm watching this, I'm like, from an American standpoint, I'm probably towards the top third of people that would get some of these references. And even I would not have gotten that reference had I not just watched a thing of Sherlock Holmes.
Right. And it's just this crazy reveal that falls so fucking flat.
There's
nothing that leads up to it whatsoever. It's just like, or should I say Professor James Moriarty? It's like, okay. Is that his name? That's his name? Cool.
And it doesn't matter at all.
No, not one bit.
Because now we're 10 seconds from the end of the film.
Yeah.
Unless for some reason Professor James Moriarty can fly.
Oh, no.
Because he jumps out of the building and falls 100 feet.
Wingsuit.
He has Da Vinci's drawings.
Okay.
It's true.
So he falls. And that's about where I'm like, the CGI in that scene didn't look so great when he's falling. And then he starts running. And that's when we have completely ran out of all dollars available. Him running from the fortress towards wherever he's going is...
Yeah, what was he? Was he running to a ship or something?
I don't know.
I think he was trying to get back to the little ship.
I think that's it too.
Okay.
I
But
think-
how would he know?
And why would it be out there?
And why would he know where the little ship is? Has he also got a tracker on it?
Yeah, of course he has a tracker.
Okay.
Well, he was in cahoots with Dorian.
Yeah, but did Dorian come in and go, I parked it out back?
Parked it 4 miles away.
If you
in the snow.
Yeah, if you glide out this window and just head east.
Just run.
You'll see it eventually. It's the only spiky thing.
Or you won't because it's a blizzard. So
If you see a thing that looks like it's out of the movie Wild Wild West, you're headed in the right direction.
Right.
So he's running, and it's the worst CGI of any part of it because it's just they do the matte thing where he's running. There's flames behind him.
Yeah.
It is almost as bad as
Under Siege.
Under Siege 2. Yeah.
Speaking of flames, can we just quick talk about how the Invisible Man dies?
Yeah.
Does he die?
Well,
I mean, he gets burned. He gets hit with a flamethrower.
He's naked and he's on fire.
Yeah.
And in pain.
And he yells, ow. Ow. And his arms are flaming.
He's on fire. What would you say?
Yeah, because he dies because you can see his burn.
Yeah,
Somehow
yeah.
when he burns, you can
Yes.
see him.
Well,
that I
ashes.
found interesting.
Well, carbon.
I forgot about carbon.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm an idiot.
I wasn't aware that I'm not made of it in the first place.
I wish he would have just started yelling, Nemo! Nemo! Ow. So we lose one. We did lose one. Then we lose another.
Yep.
Our friend Sean Connery.
In one of the more anticlimactic deaths I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. His new son makes the shot.
He has to take the shot.
Has to take the shot. And he makes it.
Oddly enough, because he still, to this point, has never shot anyone in this film.
Right. So he finally does it, and he turns around to say to his new dad,
I did it, Dad.
but nope, he's dead. He died off screen.
And he just says, century after century, and your century. And I had to turn on the subtitles to figure out what the fuck his parting words were.
And what were they?
It's something about he had his century so that you can have the next.
May this next century belong to you as the last century belongs to me. Something like that.
Yeah. Which is interesting because visually, character-wise, because remember, at least Quatermain is like in the graphic novel.
Right.
Tom Sawyer is not. So they get to just make up his outfit. So in order to show you that he is of the new century, they dressed him like a 1920s gangster. So he's straight out of the Untouchables, but yet it's 20 years prior to that, and he's also just a special agent from America. I'm sure they were dressing them to the fucking nines before sending them over.
He's in a killer band though too.
He is. Yeah, the sum of all of it is probably 41. So we've now lost a couple friends. We're now back in Africa.
Yes.
And we're at the gravesite that has just said Quatermain at the beginning. So we know that he's being buried next to his son. Conveniently, we have no burial for the Invisible Man.
No.
You can't find him.
Well, carbon. So we're burying him. Previously in the film, we have learned that Africa won't let Quartermain die.
Right.
That's his special power. But we're not in Africa through most of this film. However, now we've buried him in Africa. And so while they're all doing there's going to be another adventure type of thing, you see a little witch doctor guy.
Rafiki, I called him.
Who's just off in the background, chanting and hollering. We know something's about to happen.
He just gets all the rhythms right.
Gets all the rhythm. He did get it. It was definitely, freaking Parappa.
Yeah.
Rafiki Parappa over here. Getting all the beats right. And we know that something's afoot because that mound of dirt that they've now placed the Winchester on now is shaking. It's now shaking and the clouds are moving fast. I've always loved that in films, the fast clouds.
Yeah.
That tells you something's afoot.
Yeah. So he's going to come back to life.
He's going to come back to life.
Still be 80 years old. And then what? Continue to age. And then when he dies of old age, then what?
80 years old and his glasses are still broke.
Yeah, he can't see anything.
Yeah.
There's time now, but
So he's worthless. And that's the end of the fucking film. That is how this film ends. I know they're building towards something. They're trying to make it so that there could be a sequel.
I saw that they actually have something that's pretty deep into the works for a Hulu series.
Okay. Interesting.
It was like a footnote of Wikipedia, so don't quote me on it, but and it was relatively recent. So
it's the perfect type of thing to make right now because it is slightly clever. And there are,
like I said, it's almost a good movie.
Yeah.
It's really, really close to being a good movie.
So when they made this, the graphic novel was not done. I had said that. But it does go on to make, he does go on to make more graphic novels. And so the second one is they are being attacked by people from Martians, essentially, because it is the War of the Worlds.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
I did hear that.
And there is a poster in the film that swings by that says something about volcanoes on Mars.
I
that
was very
stuck out like a
curious about
sore
that.
fucking thumb.
I read that, but as it went by, I was like, well, that's a little too on the nose because it has Alan Moore's name.
I honestly thought it was a set screw up. That like it was from a different movie. And then, just leave it. Yeah.
You know what? We've ran out of money.
What's funny is that I couldn't, because it was kind of shaded and I couldn't see the whole thing at first. As it went by, I said, did that thing says Mars has canoes? Oh no, Volcanoes.
Volcanoes. God damn, you sound like me now.
My mistake.
Yeah.
You can see how I would be confused.
I'm never calling that anything else the rest of my life. Is that an active volcano?
Yeah. It's a dormant volcano. So they were setting up for a sequel. The movie is thought of as being a flop. It didn't flop. It had about an $80 million budget. But
now that you said that guy is a Bollywood star, that probably helped
for sure.
box office quite a bit.
For sure. So I was looking at the numbers and they made in the box office alone about $179 million. So they made $100 million worldwide.
Yeah.
But then they also made $50 million off of rentals and another $40 million off of DVD sales just to the year 2003. So it's a successful film.
Yeah.
It actually did very well. Budget of 78, just the box office alone went $100 million over top of that. But it wasn't enough to ever have this happen again because Sean Connery's like, fuck it, I'm done. The director was like, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm going to disappear.
The guy that wrote it was like, fuck this. But then...
And it didn't get very good reviews.
No, it didn't.
It wasn't reviewed very well.
And
as far
as I could tell on IMDb, the rest of the cast too, that was pretty much it for them too.
Right.
Like that ended it for a lot of people.
Yeah, the one guy goes on to be in...
the Sum 41.
Sum 41 goes on to be in Sum 41. And then isn't he in like The Lords of Dogtown or one of those skateboarding movies? Yeah. Or maybe it's the one where they kidnapped the kid in California.
Sure.
But anyways, it did okay. But from when we pulled it up, you initially said it, and I was like, man, this is perfect. because there's enough nonsense that happens in the background. The idea that Sean Connery got paid $17 million on a $80 million budget.
Yeah.
And then you ran out of money. And then him and the director fucking hated each other so much that they both quit Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And watching it, you get through and you're like, it's not terrible.
Right.
And then you go back and watch it again, Tim, which I highly recommend.
Yeah.
And the wheels fall off very quickly upon a second viewing. There are a lot of things happening in that film where you're just like, what in the goddamn world? Maybe my favorite of the whole thing is Dorian Gray can only die if he looks at his own painting.
Right.
Right. Close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
Close your fucking eyes, dude.
He really couldn't help himself. He was like, I gotta know.
But when they discover that there's a painting missing,
Yeah.
he's just placed it on the stairs in his house at the turn where you go up a set of stairs and then turn, and then it's right fucking there. So if you were walking and forgot that you would just accidentally look at your own fucking painting, put the painting away.
Yeah.
Put it away.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a really bad
Why is
spot.
it hanging next to other things?
Well, and also the little spot that's there is fucking tiny.
It's tiny.
It's not even close to the size of the painting.
It's tiny, and then later on the painting is huge. But Mina stabs him and gets him stuck, right?
Yeah.
So now he's stuck.
Yeah, and he really doesn't try very hard to get himself unstuck. He's just like, oh man,
Yeah. He doesn't take it seriously.
I've been run through. I guess I'm stuck here for now.
He's Dust Man. We've established that he's Dust Man,
Right.
but a sword, too much. Too much for Dorian to get away.
Well, it didn't hurt him
No, but he
at all. But he just couldn't pull it out of the wall behind him.
He gets shot by 47 million bullets,
It
and they
seems
just
like he could have just
disappear.
walked through it.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Or just let his legs go and
Just went limp.
Slice himself right in half.
And been fine because he's dust. Instead, she holds the painting in front of him, and he doesn't avert his eyes. He doesn't turn his head. He doesn't close his eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't even blink. He stares directly into the soul of the one thing that will destroy him.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're 2003. We have gone through many, many, many deaths that involve the disintegration of faces. I mean, you can go back to
Indiana Jones.
We've done
times.
this many, many times. We've got to this point. It may be the worst of all the CGI other than the man running towards his boat.
Yeah, it goes to like TV show Crypt Keeper
Yeah.
levels of puppetry.
Yes. For the one character that cannot die, we have chosen that he just got stuck by a thing and in no way, shape, or form was able to get away from it. He has averted his eyes from that painting every time he's walked up the stairs in his house.
Yes.
Every single time he has went into his favorite room, by the way.
The masturbatorium?
But in this instance, he cannot. So, final take on the film, and let's get out of here.
I am eager to watch it again. I would watch it again, but it is not a good movie. But I kind of like it.
No.
I kind of like it for all of its flaws. But to Scott's point, I do agree with Scott. It is so close.
Yes.
It just needed a little more help, and it would have been there.
A little less absurdity, and just a couple. You give this film $20 more, and we're maybe to the point of like,
Yeah, and maybe tweak the plot a little bit so that the Invisible Man doesn't just disappear because, well, nobody would have believed me. The whole driving force of the movie is that the guy knows that they're going to think he did it, and so he runs away.
Well, he was the most expensive person to have because you can either A, have him
always
not
the
be
Invisible
there.
Man's fault.
I'll show them. Well, you could have just told him.
Yeah, he can either be a floating trench coat or completely painted in white. But they put the sunglasses on so you can't see his eyes because he couldn't paint his eyes.
Yeah.
Got to remember that. Eyeballs? No.
Yeah.
Fire flesh? Yes.
Yes.
So, I think that about says it for this one. Folks, that
I
was
had
a
fun.
mess.
I had fun. It's not a good movie, but I had fun watching it.
Honestly, I got through the first watch of this and thought maybe we made a mistake because I was like, God, it's not to the level of Under Siege 2.
No, not even close.
It's not to that level, which again is an okay
Well,
movie.
maybe it is.
They're
Pretty,
very
maybe it is pretty
similar.
close.
They're very similar, but there's just something weird about how it all just slowly trickles its way downhill.
Yeah.
You know, it never takes a cliff dive. It just kind of slowly is like, well, wait a minute. What?
Yeah. It's the way every first chapter to every novel I've never even come close to finish. That's how it goes.
Yes.
It's just like I get lazy and it's just like, no. And then something happens.
Yeah.
Feel the dream. You just feel the dreams in, and then magic, and then guess what? One have a catch.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sitting through that. That's a long episode.
That is a very long episode. I'm late.
Scott is late. I just abandoned my kids. They're at aftercare now. Scott is officially late. Yeah, a little sloppy for our first attempt at doing just one film like this. I think we're going to need to bullet point a few things.
Yes.
Yeah, or pick a less disjointed movie next time.
True. There was a lot.
There's so much
This was
happened in this
dense.
movie.
But I think worth it. If you've seen the film, worth it. If you haven't seen the film, I think absolutely worth it as well, because there's so many laughs to be had. Yeah, I picked up the Blu-ray because I'm a fan of behind the scenes stuff, and also I got to capture some video from it. So I picked up the Blu-ray. It was like $10.
Wow. What a great deal that
on
isn't.
Amazon.
Hey, it cost me $4 to rent it for 2 days.
Well, it's on Hulu right now.
I don't have Hulu.
Oh, all right. Well,
It's like the one that I just got rid of. It's like I never use this. And then you're like, hey, let's watch this movie. It's only available on Hulu. Fuck you.
all right. Anyways, Jesus Christ, I'm trying to get out of here.
One more thing.
Yes. I fell for it. I absolutely fell for it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you to the Boutros.
Yes.
Thank you to Tim
Thanks for having me.
from Tim's Talks. I want to talk
Close
to you.
enough.
Tim's Talks. I thank you to you, the listener, for sitting through this nonsense of an episode. This is going to take me a long time to put this all together. However, we'll be back next week with Be Kind Rewind 2001. Shoot that stuff over to us. Next week will be the Everything But Movies, so pop culture, news, music, TV shows, video games, anything you want to send over us from the year 2001. Gabe, of course, will have bombings. I hear there's a bombing in 2001. We'll kick out right off with that. And then we'll come back the next week with the movies of 2001. So go ahead and shoot that stuff over to us if you want to see something, and check us out on the social webs. And with that, we're done.
I made a point to, during this episode, go through the entire track list of Sum 41's All Killer, No Filler, and make a reference. I just named the songs to write down the list. Introduction to Destruction.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You
Nothing on My Back.
You stupid idiot.
Never Wake Up. That'll give you a fat lip.
Through the whole episode?
Yeah, that's why I kept looking at my phone to see what was next. I think I missed rhythms. That's why I dropped rhythms at the very end. My whole point was to just go through the track list of Sum 41's All Killer, No Filler, 1 through 13.
I was wondering what you kept looking at.
That might be the best bonus footage that we have of any
That
episode.
is awesome. Well
It's the
done.
only thing that I was looking at over here.
Well
is trying to figure out
done.
where I was at.
Yeah, Gabe isn't here, so you do a very Gabe Johnson thing.
Yes, yes.